I'm Anabelle Rondon, Green Neighborhoods Network Director of LivableStreets. I'm also part of the CHAPA Policy Leadership Council. I'm a housing advocate, I'm an organizer, and I'm also a Haverhill resident. It is with great pleasure that I join you today to present the CHAPA Housing Hero Award to Rep Vargas for his commitment to helping everyone in the Commonwealth find a safe, healthy, and affordable place to call home. Last session, Brett Vargas was the chief sponsor of housing production legislation that helped lead the most significant zoning reform in a generation. As a housing advocate, I cannot tell you enough how important it is to champion these changes. Zoning became a big barrier to produce the necessary stock in addressing the housing crisis that we're currently facing today. In some cases, zoning became a segregation tool by not welcoming people and families of color into a community. However, Rep. Vargas and Rep. Honan stood out and worked with CHAPA to file a housing production bill that incorporated not only housing choice, but also set ambitious requirement for every community served by the MBTA to zone for multifamily housing. The legislation also discouraged frivolous lawsuits by neighbors of proposed housing development that are too often used to slow or stop affordable housing from being built. Housing choice and additional zoning reform were signed into law early this year. Together, these changes will mean more equitable communities and tens of thousands of new homes that will plan and build for generations to come. I have the absolute honor of working closely with Rep. Vargas as a colleague, as a friend, as a resident, and I cannot be happier to see him being honored today. Without further ado, please join me in celebrating State Representative Andy Vargas for receiving the CHAPA Housing Hero Award. Andy.
Thank you so much, Annabelle, and it's my honor to have you as my constituent. It's been wonderful to be able to work with you on numerous issues here in Haverhill, particularly housing, but also the empowerment of people of color in our neighborhoods here in Haverhill. So thank you for all the work that you do. And Senator Crichton, congratulations as well to you. And I'm so grateful to be here in great company with you. And I look forward to working with you this session on many other issues, housing, sports betting, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of work to do, and I'm glad that we have an energetic leader over there in the Senate. So thank you, Senator Crichton. And to CHAPA, the reality is that we stand on the shoulders of giants, and you all are the giants. We wouldn't be here today were it not for the work that you all did and the work of many people that perhaps aren't on this Zoom today, that for years were advocating for the policies that we finally got here. And I think it's a reminder that the work that we do today may provide some incremental results and not entirely all of our results. But the only reason we're here today is because somebody was willing to do that work decades ago. And so know that we are putting in that work now. Hopefully it won't take decades, but for the next generation of leaders that are going to further advance housing policies that will ensure that every human being in the Commonwealth has access to safe and stable housing. For me, this is an issue that's so important because I wouldn't be here today as a state representative were it not for safe and stable housing that my family found in Haverhill. I was born in Cambridge and lived in Cambridge till I was 6 years old. And my family was pushed out because of housing costs and eventually was able to find a two-family home in the core of Haverhill for under 190 grand. And that was the home I grew up in. And that stable environment made all of the difference between me, my friends, my cousins, who had many different paths. I'm sitting here as a legislator today while many of the folks that I grew up with that didn't have a stable home over their heads are sitting in a jail cell today or have been in and out of incarceration. And so many of the policies that me and my team take up are about how do we level the playing field so that everybody in the Commonwealth can compete and so that everyone in the Commonwealth can realize their full potential, no matter the household or family that they're born into. And so housing policy is right at the top of that list. Because if you don't have a stable home, then we can't even begin to address the workforce challenges, the substance abuse challenges, educational challenges. A home is at the core of all of that. And so I'm just so grateful to have amazing partners like CHAPA and all the folks on this call that help us realize that vision every session. And I'm looking forward to further advancing that vision this session with the bill that we filed, because we know there's a lot more work to do. And there are a lot more people that are in need of us addressing this housing crisis. So, and lastly, I just want to give a shout out to Representative Honan, who was a great leader and partner to me in this effort. He took me under his wing when it came to housing. I wasn't even on the housing committee, but he just knew I was passionate about it. But he said, "Come here, we're going to work on this." And I'm just so grateful to him and his leadership throughout the years as a tremendous housing advocate for folks across the Commonwealth. So thank you very much, and looking forward to working with you all. This is a great honor for me and my staff. Emra Fajic, who's been my one legislative aide throughout all this. We just got a second aide, so we're up to 2 staff members now. Very excited. But a huge shout out to Emra and Ben as well, Ben Bryant, who was our housing fellow the past couple of months as well. We couldn't have done this without the great team that we have. So thanks, everybody.